Andy Sullivan from Blue Collar Corner. I'm here in Staten Island at the newly formed Jewish Tea Party. I'm here with Mr. Andrew Langer, and he was one of the guest speakers, and a very good one, I might add. Mr. Langer, what brings you here tonight?
Well, as I said in the speech, I grew up in New York. When I heard that these groups were coming together and there had been a Jewish Tea Party in New York formed, I jumped at the chance when they asked me up here to speak. It was really, showing support for this group. Fledgling Tea Party groups are very, very important, especially on the issues that these groups are working on.
Now, Tea Party takes an incredible amount of abuse from the mainstream media. Now, why do you feel that is? Do you feel it's a fear factor?
Oh, well, absolutely is. They've never been able to understood what the vast majority of Americans are asking for when they're asking for change in their government. They never have. To have that movement reach its sort of boiling point in early 2009, they've never been able to define it. And what they can't define, it scares them because they can't push back against it. So they've done everything they can over the last 2 years to tear at this movement, to sully it, and to really engage in a public relations battle to destroy how the public perceives the movement itself.
Now, Mr. Langer, as I was listening to your speech, I felt, very good speech.
Disjointed.
A lot of, principles that I agree with and a lot of my viewers agree with. But I think right now, in our country's crisis that we're in right now, I think we need to pull back from all of these operations we have going on overseas with all these multiple activities in all these multiple countries.
No doubt we need to be thinking a lot smarter about how we engage in foreign affairs. My wife is in the military, so I'm particularly sensitive to how the military gets deployed around the world.
You alone right now?
I'm not alone right now, but I have been. I've done a couple of different stints where I've been solo parenting it with my kids. No, absolutely we need to, but we cannot forget that we need to be supporting our friends abroad because, as Herb London so aptly put it, they are fighting our war for us as well. I mean, the thing is that if we didn't have Israel standing there foursquare against the threat of folks who really do want to come here and destroy not just America but the Western way of life, things would be a hell of a lot worse. So you are very much correct. I have no problem with pulling back and figuring out better how we deal with Iran, which is really what the war in Iraq's been all about. And we definitely have to pull back and out of Afghanistan because we've been there far too long. But that doesn't change the fact that we need to be supporting and promoting freedom abroad in whatever way we can that makes the most fiscal sense.
Now, as far as, I don't know if it was you or Mr. London, you brought up the Muslim Brotherhood. Do you feel they're going to... Oh, Herb, okay. What about you? Do you feel they're going to play a major role in what's going on in Egypt, and what's going on in Syria, and what's going on in Libya? Well,
I said in my speech and talked very much about this issue of chaos. Anytime you have power vacuums at work, extremists can take hold, especially the most violent, virulent forms of those extremists can take hold. We have to be ensuring that they don't. Working very much with the pro-democracy groups, with the pro-freedom groups within those nations to make sure that they are as strong as possible in opposing folks who want to create essentially extremist theocracies that are antithetical to everything that America and our allies stand for.
Some people might say we have a vacuum of leadership right here in the United States.
It's one of those things where, in terms of my criticism of the administration, we can criticize the administration on foreign affairs and a host of issues. The fact is, this is what you get when you elect essentially a political neophyte who has no experience in any of these issues to office. This is a guy who has never held really he held major elective office, but never held any sort of an executive management position anywhere. And once his experienced advisors left the White House, there has been essentially a power vacuum, to use your words, folks who are not advising this president well. So he's making what are, in fact, rookie mistakes on the job.
I think right now it seems like the whole entire world is on fire. And a lot of people say it is because of this reason. It's because America isn't out there. I'm this leading from behind mentality. I have no idea. What is that?
The focus of the Institute for Liberty, the organization that I run, is on American exceptionalism. And when you deny that America is an exceptional nation, you deny the principles upon which this nation was founded that have made it so exceptional. And our moral obligation, which was the focus of my speech, is to export those principles, to export that exceptionalism. Now, maybe down the road America isn't unique amongst brothers because so many other nations around the world have adopted our style of Republican democracy, where individual rights are valued, where free markets are allowed to exist. The problem is, of course, when folks deny it here at home and are doing everything in their power to turn us back and to turn back on those principles upon which we're founded, that's where the danger lies.
Why do you think the double standards between liberals and conservatives? Seems like the conservatives always get the snot beat out of us. They talk about killing us. They talk about us going to hell. We have all the liberals saying awful, terrible things. We have a vice president refer to the Tea Party as terrorists. To me, that's incomprehensible.
I think in the end, it does really come out of that Alinsky playbook of sort of isolating your enemy and making it. I mean, this has been, frankly, this has been the Democrats' mode, and I mean, I'm not speaking in Democrat and Republican terms tonight, but the Democrats' mode of doing things over the years has been, if you're a Republican, you're an idiot, racist, redneck. And I've always said that's not how you win elections in America. You win elections in America by presenting a competing worldview. Nobody is going to vote for a candidate who calls them an idiot. At least I don't think they will. Certainly no one's going to support an administration that calls them a terrorist. All you serve to do is essentially engage in a PR fight by besmirching an organization. You can call the Tea Party group what you want. In the end, the same principles and values that Tea Party members share are going to be held across the board, no matter if it's the Tea Party or it's the Don't Go movement, which is what preceded it, or whatever the next phase of this movement is down the road. Those values are still going to be the same. Free markets, limited government, protection of individual rights. That's the change that America has wanted over the last 4 election cycles. Return to principled government, fiscal conservatism, size of government issues. Those things are what Americans have wanted for a decade now. And if they're not going to get them, if they don't get them from this guy, they're going to go somewhere else. If they don't get it from the next guy, they're going to go somewhere else. Whether or not it's the Tea Party movement is immaterial. Those core values are going to prevail.
I feel right now it's like the Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan thing all over again. I mean, it was actually everyone, they talk about him with such great reverence right now. But back when he was running against Carter, he was this right-wing, inexperienced, too old, too right, just no way going to win this election.
Or in some cases, you had the left trying to paint him for the conservatives. Oh, he actually wasn't a conservative in California. I mean, that's of course what they're trying.
He was a Democrat. That's true.
No, it wasn't just that he was a Democrat, but a lot of the left, what they were trying to sully Reagan's name with conservatives by saying that Reagan didn't govern as a conservative in California. He was pro-gay. He did this. He did that. And the fact is, Reagan was Reagan. I'm inclined to, I'm still wondering if this election is going to be more like 76 with Ford versus Carter. I'm very concerned about that. Very concerned that we nominate that Republicans nominate a weak candidate. Very concerned about that. Given what happened in 2008,
I think we got stung pretty good enough. I don't think they'll do another McCain on us.
I hope so. It's the nature of this primary system. It really screws around with how our candidates get chosen. I'm no longer a Republican Party official. I'm actually not endorsing any candidates right now. I said that in my speech as well. I'm sitting back and watching. I want to make sure whoever it is the most principled conservative that can be elected in America. Someone who really is going to adhere to those values and bring America the change that they've wanted for so long.
Do you think the country can handle another governor from Texas?
Well, that's the fundamental question, isn't it? I mean, I like Rick Perry in certain ways. There are certain things that concern me about him. Obviously, that's a huge issue. The question is, whether or not he is like George Bush or unlike George Bush. I think it's very interesting, the fact that Karl Rove has come out so strongly against Rick Perry. I think that if the media were really interested in the deeper issue, they would be wondering why it is. If this guy is supposedly a Bush clone, why is Bush's brain opposing him? And I think that story, if it got out to Americans, would actually make them feel a lot better. But remember, for the other side, it's always about painting the next guy or the guy coming in as the next Bush, which is what they tried to do with McCain, who really, frankly, fundamentally probably wouldn't have been much different than Barack Obama on a lot of the core issues that we're dealing with. Certainly it wouldn't have been another 4 years of Bush. And the question is whether or not Barack Obama, is all the policies that were unpopular with progressives under George W. Bush. Barack Obama has continued a lot of those policies. So one wonders where their head is at these days.
Mr. Lang, thank you for your time. Good luck and God bless. Safe home to Maryland.
Thank you.
Andy Sullivan, Blue Collar Corner.